Good morning, friends, and welcome. We're glad you're here. Welcome to this almost but not quite final coffee talk of December. We welcome you to this time and place, and hopefully you have a nice warm drink by the fireside, and you're really enjoying your last week before Christmas. We are looking back in this Advent season. We're coming up to this final stretch of this Advent series called Advent, His Arrival, right? And so in this series, Jeff, you led us this last week in a passage that we wouldn't normally think, oh, that's very Christmassy, right? It had some subtlety to it, and you led us to something amazing with a sense of like home. Can you kind of recap for us just a little bit?
Yeah, it's an interesting passage in Isaiah 35. And I said on Sunday that the first 39 chapters are really about judgment for Israel and just its refusal to repent and to turn back to the Lord. But in the midst of those chapters are moments of hope. And Isaiah 35 is a moment of hope. And it's in the New Testament when John the Baptist is sitting in jail. He sends his friends to say to Jesus, "Are you the one?" And Jesus, I don't know if he actually quotes, but I think he had Isaiah 35 in mind because it says the lame will leap, the deaf will speak, the blind will see. It's very reminiscent of Isaiah 35.
Right.
So then when you go to Isaiah 35, and this idea of being homesick, and Jesus is the way home, right? And just all those kind of God will come to save you is in there, and so I just thought, hey, let's make this part of our Advent series.
Yeah, that Jesus is the highway.
Yes.
Right. And I just love this sense, like we kind of said a few minutes ago. We could probably talk about this sense of home for a long time because it's something that really connects with us as humans, I think, as well too. Because whether it's like the example that you gave, or even like all of us were not born here, right? In some ways, we could say this isn't our home, right? And so we always have that like little thing in the back of our mind.
So, have you had an experience? I just break in and ask. Like, did I talk about? No, I talked about my wife's experience being homesick. But have you had an experience being homesick? What was it that you were sick for, or longing for?
Well, sorry, my brain was about to go in a completely not other direction, but that's okay. Not exactly. I think like there's been almost every time when I am traveling on the road for a long time, for an extended trip of some sort, there's things about home, but not home itself. Yeah. One of those that often becomes the case is like just the food style like we eat. Like specifically, I remember a trip I was on where I'm like, I miss vegetables. Like we had just been having so many meals that were just kind of like out as you're traveling around, and it's like, man, just to like. There was a point on that trip where I was just like craving salad. I just want a salad. I just, and so then that becomes a little bit of a thing. Or sometimes it'll be like, oh, I miss my bed. But not necessarily this sense of like discontent of, a place. But that's also usually because when I'm doing those things, I'm with people that I'm enjoying too.
I was going to say, that's really, like, if you're bringing your home along with you, really, right? Your family,
And I think that's the heart of it. So, like, for me, it was the beginning of college that, like, so I kind of been a bit of a nomad after, and even through the last little bit of high school, in, like, going to summer camp, 4 hours away, and then going to college 7 hours away from where I grew up, and like everybody I knew, and I knew nobody. So like it took me a long time to kind of feel comfortable and actually not even just like I'm done, I want to go home. Right? There was that, but then going back home to Calgary and then go back for school and all that. It wasn't until about 2.5 years in, or even like maybe 2 years into our marriage, where we were living in Carenport at Briarcrest, middle of Saskatchewan, where we're like, I know we've gone back for Christmas to Calgary and all of that, but it took a couple of years for it to be like, okay, this home that we've established is now home. And I think that's part of it too, is that like where you begin to put down your roots, or even when you look at your surroundings and say, you know, I can be a part of this, or I can do this, or you really put yourself into it. I've always heard that thought of like grow where you're planted too. And Jeff, you brought up something even just a little bit before we started recording about you know, it is what you make of it, right? And especially for those I keep going back to Jeremiah 29:11 as the example. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper." The context of all of that is the fact that Israel is in captivity.
Yeah.
They're in this, like you talked about, that sense of desert, that captivity and wandering. And God is saying, I'm not going to pull you out just yet. I need you actually to stay there. I need you to work for the prosperity of the city. And while you're there, I will take care of you because I know the plans that I have for you. So while you're there, make that home.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
I think that's unbelievably profound. And I think it really speaks even to what you were starting to allude to. So even, you know, how we define home really changes a lot of it as well.
I would say definitely I feel like a person of multiple homes.
Yeah.
Like I still, all these years later, as I'm driving off the ferry, I go, as I'm back on the island, I'm like, oh, I'm home.
Stop
And I
and-
get that exact same feeling as
Yeah.
I'm driving along the connector and you go by the old visitor info center
Visitor
there,
info,
and
yeah.
you see,
Coming
and I
into
see
here,
the
yeah,
lake, and
yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm home.
Yeah.
Right? And it's interesting because all these years that we lived here, you know, almost 16 and a half years, and it's like, well, this is home, absolutely, without a doubt. The islands, without a doubt, home, even though it's changed so much.
Yeah.
This has changed too.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it does make me wonder a little bit, like, I wonder when my kids are adults where they will go, okay, I'm home. Like, where will be that
Yeah.
place? And will it be, because, you know, will it be here? Will it be here and somewhere else? Or, will, you know, like,
Yeah.
what will that be about? But I think you also, Jeff, were getting to that sense of, like, this isn't exactly home either. Like, we also have another
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to think, like, oh, man, to be a person of 3 homes?
Yeah.
4 homes?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how many homes do we have
Yeah.
before we actually, not that we, you know, but it kind of, anyways.
That actually speaks a whole lot more to even that sense of, you know, Christ being our rest, our Sabbath. Like it's like when you feel like you don't have a home or you have multiple homes, it feels like you can't actually fully unpack your suitcase. Where and when do we finally get to unpack our suitcase, Jesus?
Yeah.
Is it here? Is it halfway? Is it heavenward? Right? And is that our only home? Like, and that's maybe what I wonder as I listen to the sermon, Jeff. You know, like you kind of got into heaven as our home.
And heaven is the restoration of here, right? Right. Heaven comes like, oh, heaven and earth will overlap. And he speaks of restoration, you know, and I make all things new, right? It's renewing what is here. Where heaven and earth overlap as it was always meant to be. You know, the city of Zion comes down in Revelation 20, and it's just, so we are sort of here, but the realm where we're separated is not home. He's going to bring home to us, right? And that's it's pretty fascinating to ponder. And
It's
think about.
fascinating, but also very confusing.
It is confusing.
Because when you want
Yeah.
just a quick answer to say,
Yeah.
well, no, home,
Yeah.
that's heaven.
We always talk about
we
going to heaven.
Right, let's go there and,
Yeah.
you know, then I'm
Yeah.
finally home, right?
Right, but it's
But it's
actually
more than that.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, we, at Mount Boucherie this last Monday, we were answering students' questions, and a lot of the questions related to heaven. You know, I think a lot of people are just like, what exactly is going to
Yeah.
happen? And so
Yeah.
much of it is mystery, but so much of it we can know for certain.
Yeah.
It is the fully realized presence of God.
Yes.
Right? And we are going to know him in a new way, and we are going to, you know, and his presence will be more, I mean,
Yeah.
not to say he's not present here, but like, it will be more realized.
Yeah, well.
Without filters.
Right,
It's
yeah.
interesting, there's so many things we could go off on tangents, but what came to mind when you said that is, when Moses said to God, "Show me your glory,"
Mhm.
God said, I will pass by, my full glory will pass
Yeah.
by, but I'll put a hand in front of your face. But what's really strange is he would meet with God face to face in the tent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So something about his glory was restricted or absent there, or not
Veiled,
absent, but
or-
veiled or something,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And I kind of almost think that that's the way his presence with us is. It's somewhat veiled, but it'll be fully unloaded, and we'll be able to see it and be with it, you know? I think that might be a good analogy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Paul talks about, we see in 1 Corinthians 13, we see through a mirror dimly.
Yeah.
We are here with him. We're on that highway.
Yeah.
But that highway is going somewhere that will be made complete, right? Yet here on earth, when heaven and earth, you know, when the city, well, and it's the restoration of what was meant to be. In the Garden of Eden, God walked with Adam and Eve, but they had a task, you know, increase and multiply, take care of the world, you know, like you rule, but rule with goodness and justice as he would. At the end, it's now a city that looks like the garden, you know, where we'll all have work to do, but it'll be good, and we'll be fully you know, when you're
Yeah.
fully regenerated and excited about something, I think that's what we'll be every day.
And
you
I,
know?
and I think that's also why this matters at Christmas, because
Mhm.
Christmas does bring out that sense of like longing, dissatisfaction,
Mhm.
looking back on our year,
Yeah,
reflecting.
it does,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh, I didn't get what I
going-
wanted.
Yeah,
whatever.
going home for
Yeah.
Christmas. Like,
Yeah.
all of these different things that just bring a lot of this up at Christmas time. And I think that's why this is so amazing and beautiful for us to be able to look at through this whole Christmas season. Because it reminds us, man, we have somewhere to go, but that's also right here.
Yep. Yeah, we celebrate. We're between two arrivals. We celebrate the arrival, and we're anticipating the arrival, right? We're in the middle, and that's pretty awesome.
So we're all in the Coquihalla. That's what I'm hearing.
You know what? Well, yeah, I don't know. Which part do you like better, the Coca-Cola or the... I don't know. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you can continue pondering on these things as we kind of finish up this Advent series. And we're not taking a pause. We're actually continuing on with the Advent season this Sunday. Chris, what's happening this Sunday?
Let's see. We're going to have a lot going on. It's the drama. Really, it's the drama. It's
Lots of drama in the drama?
Well, no, hold on. This is not a cast of divas, Jeff. This is a cast of people who are all supporting one another,
Yes.
who are encouraging each other, and who've been working really hard too. And
Same.
the royal we, the rest of us who are not involved so much, actively just get to sit back and enjoy. And so, and then afterwards, we're going to hang out and have some coffee and hot chocolate and just kind of celebrate a little bit together, just through fellowship. And so, yeah, it's a big week around here. So make sure you're planning to join us on Sunday morning at 10. Times are all the same, but the feel and structure of the service will be very different.
And a quick note on that as well too, if you normally tune in by the live stream, it won't be on at 10 a.m. So be aware that if you're looking for it, or even if you're clicking on the link in our weekly email, it won't be there yet. It will come later.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
keep checking back to either our website, lakeviewheightsbaptist.com, or check back to our YouTube channel, we're LHB Church. So
I'm sure nobody would be sitting there going, click, 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 click,
Oh.
click, but just in case.
if you're
Just in
excited about the
case.
drama, I'm sure you would.
It was,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's a few grandparents out there that'll be
Very true.
Yeah.
tuning in
Yeah,
that morning as
that'd
well
be
too.
great. Yeah.
Jeff, what's happening a couple days later?
Well, Christmas Eve, December 24th, we have 6:30, our candlelight service, where it's more participatory. We'll each have a candle, and we'll be able to light that partway through that time together and sing with candles, and it's really beautiful. Like I get to, well, actually no, you get to look at us singing from the stage, and that's probably the best place to be. So get a front row seat so you can look back at everybody. It's really neat. So
Yeah.
that's happening Christmas Eve at 6:30.
Yeah. So mark those things on your calendar, and then after that, we encourage you to spend time with others and to connect and to reflect and to enjoy this Christmas season and head into the new year knowing that God is with you in all things. So that aside, we wish you a Merry Christmas.
Mhm.